All right, word nerds, it's truth time. Hello word nerds, happy Monday, welcome to a new week, all of that fun stuff. So as usual, today's Monday video is all about writing, but today we are going to focus in on some of the hard truths about being a writer, which, it should come as no surprise, vary from person to person because we all have different experiences and processes and goals, and if we all want to grow as writers and to do a little bit better in the future, then some of the most important things we can do involve being honest with ourselves about all of those things, about where our faults lie, and about where we have a little bit of room to improve and do things differently in the future. First off, and the most fun, is to figure out where your strengths are. What areas of writing are you strongest? Are you great at getting the words down and finishing first drafts? Can you write phenomenally believable characters or riveting plots? We all have areas of storytelling where we're strongest, and it's important to know what those are for a few different reasons. Number one is that so you can write to your strengths. Tell the type of stories that make the most sense with your voice, because that's going to be the stories that are most engaging to your reader and the most fun to read, as well as the most fun for you to write. Knowing what your strengths are can also be a great asset when it comes to that inevitable time when we need a writing pick-me-up. We all have those days where it feels like every word we put on the page is just crap, and we should just quit writing and never ever look at a book again. And of course that is nonsense, and we all have those days and we all power through them. But a great way to cheer yourself up is to read back on those parts of your book that are strongest, where you know you just excel and you just nailed that one scene. Because no matter how new you are to writing or how experienced, there are always going to be those days where you've made a horrible mistake and should be putting your effort into becoming a veterinarian or an astronaut instead, and writing just isn't your thing. So on those days, take the time to look back on those scenes where you just excelled and did your very best work, because we all have our strengths and it's important to know what yours are. Next up, it is just as important, if not more, to be honest with yourself about what your weaknesses are, because nobody's writing is perfect. We should all be learning and improving and growing in the writing process as we write more books and finish more projects. I know for most of us, the writing process is plagued with doubts and insecurities, and as you're writing the book, you're just convinced it is nonsense and garbage and no one will ever want to read it, but then you finish it and you do a couple of rounds of edits, maybe send it off to a beta reader who loved it. So just a few months after you finish the book, you decide, bing, I have finished this novel, it is done, it is awesome, it is great, it is time to publish it or submit it to agents, and this isn't always the case. One of the best things you can do here is get some distance from your book, put it in a drawer for a few weeks, even a couple of months, and just let yourself forget all of the time and work you put into making this manuscript perfect, so you can come back a little later on and read it with fresh eyes, and from there you can see which areas maybe need a little bit more polish before you can actually consider this manuscript done. Maybe your descriptions aren't quite where they need to be, maybe your characters can be fleshed out a little bit more, or you just need a little bit more romance in your book. The more you write, the more you'll become familiar with what your particular needs improvement areas are, so that way you can go back into your manuscript and focus specifically on the dialogue or the descriptions or the pacing, and really focus in on those areas where you know you aren't the strongest. And finally, one of the most important areas where it is important to be honest with yourself when it comes to your writing is the big bad realm of excuses. These are all of the wonderful things that we tell ourselves in order to justify why we haven't been published yet, or why we haven't finished this manuscript, or why we haven't written in 3 months. I know I have been there time and time and time again. This is probably the area where I'm most actively trying to grow as a writer, because I am the master of justifying all of the reasons why I haven't gotten my daily word count done, even though technically I really did have the time. Figuring out those times when I really should have gotten the work done is important because it teaches me how to be more accountable to myself and get the work done in the future, but it's just as important to acknowledge when I wasn't setting realistic goals for myself, and then I proceeded to turn around and give myself a hard time for not hitting these goals that were never realistic in the first place. Because it is totally 100% okay if writing can't always be your number one priority. Honestly, I can't imagine any person where it could be your priority 100% of the time, because sometimes you do just need to focus on school, or getting through all the family drama, or you just have so many things going on that you really can't focus on one project for any extended period of time because your brain is just going to explode. But be honest with yourself when those times come, because if you are just needing to focus on schoolwork but you keep telling yourself that, oh, I'm going to write tomorrow, or I'll do better next week, then you get in the habit of making all of these excuses for yourself, and when it does come time to really buckle down and focus on your manuscript, then you're already in the habit of saying, oh, I'll do better next time, I can keep putting this off. It's all too easy of a trap to fall into, and we've all been there, but it's something that can easily be overcome by just being honest with yourself. Because no matter what you're going through right now, or what you see your strengths or weaknesses are, you will get through this manuscript. It will be awesome. Just be honest with yourself and figure out what your next steps are realistically, and you're going to be just fine. So thanks so much for watching. I will see you all on Sunday for our next live chat. This week we are talking about some of the most recent headlines in the world of publishing industry news, so hopefully we will see you then. In the meantime, have a great week.